Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Think, Engage, Thrive, another episode. And we've got some fantastic entrepreneur tonight, a guy named Nathan Hirsch, and really focuses on what you would consider the boring parts of entrepreneurship. And it's really got to do with outsourcing a lot of pieces to your business to make your life easier. Um, really interesting guy. He's a lifelong entrepreneur. He focuses on, again, the unsexy and the boring parts of entrepreneurship, but we all need it, right? Bookkeeping, hiring, organic marketing. He's the owner of several businesses, EcomBalance, AccountsBalance, TrioSEO, and in the Outsource School, where he teaches people how to do what he does to help. So this way, when you think about it, I think you've all heard the old adage that don't spend your time working in your business, spend your time working on your business. But when you outsource, it sort of allows you and gives you that opportunity to work on your business, not in your business. But he's best known for co-founding FreeUp.net in 2015. Started with an initial investment of $5,000 and scaled it up to 12 million in yearly revenue and sold it in 2019. And again, he's gone on and he has a portfolio of companies. Really interesting guy. I think you're going to enjoy the conversation. I'm going to bring him in. So, Nathan, thanks for coming on. And
Bill, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, my pleasure. Very interesting background, very interesting business models that you do. I'm a big fan of outsourcing and keeping your business fairly simple. So, why don't you take us through your entrepreneurial journey? Why'd you start being an entrepreneur? What sort of motivated that whole piece? And then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, my parents were both teachers. So I grew up with the mentality you go to school, you get a job, you got college in between there, and then you work for 30 years and retire. And that's what my parents did. I mean, they're living the dream right now. They're both retired. They live in Colorado near me, and they just travel the world. And they were teachers for 30 years. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think I definitely wanted something different from a young kid. They made me pay for everything. If I wanted a car or a video game, whatever it was, I had to get a job, earn the money, and then I could buy it. So I got a job. I got jobs at a very young age. I was an umpire for my town. I worked at a rent-a-center type place called Aaron's. I worked at Firestone. I was a salesperson there, and I kind of accumulated all these different skills, whether it was customer service, sales. I was a top sales intern, learning how to manage people when I was umpiring and people wouldn't show up to their games. So I kind of picked up these little skills, but I also learned that I hated working for other people. So when I got to college, I started hustling, and I actually went to school for entrepreneurship. I was undecided at first, and I remember they had each of the deans of like economics and finance and accounting go up on stage and try to convince you why you should join their major. And the head of the new entrepreneur department walked up, and she just goes, "If you ever want life freedom, if you ever want financial freedom, the only way to do it is to become an entrepreneur." And that was it. And then she just walked off stage. And so in my mind, that just kind of doubled down what I was already thinking. And then I had to figure out what I wanted that business to be. And it wasn't until I tried to sell back my textbooks at the end of this first semester in college, and they offered me pennies on the dollar, that I opened up an Amazon store and started selling my books back to Amazon and different people there, and started selling other people's books. And that was my first glimpse into being an entrepreneur.
Wow, that's a great story. It's true. So do you think, because I agree with you, I am not the type of person who can work at the same job every day, day in and day out for 30 years. It wouldn't have worked for me. And I like you, I don't like working for other people.
Right.
But do, do you think when you went to school for entrepreneurship, because I never went to school for entrepreneurship, I know a lot of people who do you think that sort of helped you, hurt you?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I get asked this all the time. It may be in a different way, like was college worth it and stuff like that. I mean, sure, I'm sure taking like a business law class helped me a little bit. I'm sure taking an accounting class helped me a little bit. And I definitely learned stuff there. I think running my own business in college, I obviously learned a lot more. And whenever you get real world experience, that's good too. But I mean, college, it was great. I got to find myself. I met my business partner, which changed everything. I wouldn't have done that if I didn't go to college. And I learned just a lot of stuff about life that some of it I use and a lot of it I didn't use, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. But I don't think I think I haven't heard that many people have gotten an entrepreneurship degree, but I don't know if you can just get a degree and then start a business. I don't think it works like that, like you can in other degrees. I think that the getting in real life business experience, that's where you got to find one way or another.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not so sure that you can learn entrepreneurship in school. I think you can learn pieces of it, but I'm not sure that you can. I think it takes a specific mindset to be an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, there's bits and pieces. Like contract law, it's a great thing to know. If you want to be an
Sure,
entrepreneur, you should probably take a contract law 101 class, and
sure,
understand how agreements work. And there's stuff like that.
sure. So, what do you think on your entrepreneurial journey? What do you think were some of the life lessons you learned, or lessons in general?
Yeah. So fast forwarding ahead, I was buying people's textbooks on Amazon. My college actually hit me with a cease and desist letter telling me to knock it off and stop competing with their bookstore because I created a little referral program and everyone was coming to me to sell their books instead of the bookstore. But I didn't. I kind of saw that textbooks wasn't the best business. It was tough to scale, right? They're heavy. You need to store them. I didn't have like enough money to just buy unlimited amount of textbooks. So I started experimenting with what else could I do? I had this Amazon account and Amazon was just bursting out of the seeds. This was
Yeah,
2008, 2009. And I just experimented 6, 8 hours a day. I was just buying discount. I was looking for discounts online, seeing what I could sell, buying stuff on Craigslist and just seeing what was profitable, what made sense and what was scalable. And I finally came across baby products. If you can imagine me as a 20-year-old kid with more hair, single, selling baby products on Amazon, that was me. And a lot of the products that I used to sell, I'm now buying. We just had a kid a few months ago. The industry hasn't changed that much, but baby products were great. I mean, they big margins. Obviously, everyone has babies. It's a big market, and they're easy to return, ship, and all that. So fast forward ahead, had a lot of success with this baby product business. It was a combination of a great market, fantastic timing, Amazon being early and not having too many rules and requirements. And I built this business up. Like I was selling millions of dollars out of my college dorm room. And I put all my eggs in one basket. I had this one supplier who was getting me 99% of my products. They had the best margins. They had the best operation. And I really didn't focus on the other ones, even though there's a lot of opportunity there. Well, one day I go on vacation, and on my first day of vacation, I went to Myrtle Beach. My supplier dropped me. And just to top it off, I get a call from my accountant telling me someone had filed a fake tax return in my name and I was going to have to pay, or I wasn't going to have to pay. Someone stole $40,000 from the government in my name. And then someone on my team where I'd spent 6 months training quit on me. So I went from this unbelievable high of like, hey, I'm this 20-year-old, no one can touch me, I'm an entrepreneur, just killing it, to let's start all over again. Let's find new suppliers. Let's train new people. The tax thing ended up not being a big deal. I got a little PIN number that I use every year to file taxes because I had my identity stolen. But I learned a very valuable lesson about diversity. And it's a lesson that I keep to this day, whether it's having a portfolio of different businesses, because you never know how the industry will change, whether it's different services, whether you're training people and you're keeping people in your zone. So you do customer service, you do bookkeeping, whatever. So if one person quits, it's not that big of a deal. Obviously you want to keep people around, which I'm sure we'll talk about, but it's less of an issue than if you train them to do everything in your entire business. So diversification was a big lesson we learned early on.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazon has changed a lot since then, since those days. I remember we got on in 2006 with skincare beauty products, and it was a heck of a lot easier. Today, it's a challenge. I don't know if you're still doing work on Amazon, but it's hard work today.
Yeah, man, you got on before me. I don't meet too many people that got on before me. I was like 2008. But yeah, it's a completely different animal. We kind of did the selling shovels to the gold digger approach. Sorry, someone's calling me and it went to my phone or my computer. So we kind of did the selling shovels to the gold digger approach because this Amazon business grew, and we grew it a lot with virtual assistants because college kids were pretty unreliable. And then as Amazon became harder and we weren't selling our own products or anything like that, we kind of read the writings on the wall. But at the same time, everyone started selling courses on how to be an Amazon seller.
Yeah.
People learn what being an Amazon seller was. So we just said, hey, we got all these e-commerce VAs, freelancers freelancers. No one else understands e-commerce but us because we've been selling on it for years. Anything you need, graphic designers, listers, PPC, you name it, we have it. And that was really the beginning of FreeUp.
So what was Free Up? Give us a little bit of a background on what that was.
Yeah, so we were hiring a lot of VAs on Upwork and Fiverr, and we weren't too happy with their fees and all of that, and they also weren't e-commerce specific. So we built up this group of VAs, and we started to offer them to other sellers. But then we created this marketplace out of it, and our whole thing was we would get thousands of applicants every week, which is true. We would vet them. Top 1% would get on the platform. As a client, free to sign up. Tell us what you need. You fill out a quick job post. We match you up. We'll send you one, maybe two people. You can hire them same day. They're already vetted. If anything goes wrong, we got your back. Great 24/7 customer service in case you have even the smallest issue. And if anyone quits on you, we cover all replacement costs and get you a new person. So it was just a great experience because from the client side, they didn't have to interview 100 people. They could just get one person that was already vetted. From the VA freelancer side, they didn't have to interview 100 times. They could just get on the platform, get a job, get started same day. And then we would just take our percentage out of the hours worked or the fixed project. And that was FreeUp.
Where did you get the freelancers from? Where did you get were they domestic or were they international, or
Yeah,
did it matter?
it didn't matter. We were about 40% Philippines, 40% US, 10% scattered, but that wasn't necessarily by design. That kind of just happened. But so whenever you start a marketplace, you got a little chicken or the egg situation, right?
Right.
If you're Airbnb, you got to have houses to rent before you can get renters. So for us, we had a little bit of advantage because we had all these VAs and freelancers from our Amazon business. And when we shut our Amazon business down, we just took all these people and we said, hey, we got this crazy idea. We're building a marketplace. Do you want us to find jobs for you? And they, of course, were down, and they really impressed the initial clients, which helped us get good reviews and testimonials and referrals. And then we ran out of freelancers and VAs. So we had to market and get VAs just like we would get clients. And that kind of goes into our organic marketing blueprint.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's a great story. How did you scale that? What do you think the keys were to scaling that business?
Yeah, it's all the same stuff that we do now. It's a combination of SEO. We put out high quality content. We actually started our own SEO company, TrioSEO, this year, just because for years people have been asking us if we could take over their blog and pump out content for them, and we just haven't. We didn't find the right person to do it until recently in terms of like being our operations leader. And so pumping out high quality content, going on podcasts and shows like this. And again, timing's everything. Now there's a lot of podcasts. Back then, there weren't a lot of business podcasts. So if you got on any of them, you'd get in front of a lot. Not that there aren't great podcasts now, but there's just a lot more. Partnerships, we looked for everyone in the space. We said, hey, we provide Amazon VAs. You provide Amazon software. We don't compete. We have the same target market. We'll promote you to our list. You promote us to you. We'll do blog swaps together. All of that. And just putting out a lot of different content on social media or whatever it was. And if you go to outsourceschool.com/organic marketing, you can grab our full blueprint. It's like 7-8 different things that we just do all our businesses, whether it's Outsource School, our bookkeeping business, TrioSEO. We just create this organic marketing machine that tailors off.
That's fantastic. So you sold Free Up. How was that? What was that experience like? Was it, I'll tell you we scaled a business back in the late 90s before I was on Amazon, and we had a brick and mortar business, but then we also built one of the first e-commerce sites. It was for selling food, which, as you can imagine, the distribution network, UPS, FedEx, none of that was set up the way it is today. We sort of modeled it after what the guys at Omaha Steaks were doing and how they were handling it. But nonetheless, we got acquired by a bigger company, and we had raised capital, which on an A round, and it was tedious because the documentation was just ridiculous. And then when selling it, it was such a complicated process for us. Because we thought, our whole focus was starting this business, growing this business, building this business. And then when it comes to selling, there's so much to really look at that you don't think about setting up in the beginning, but you do for your next business. You always think, okay, well, these are the things we have to put in place if we're ever going to sell this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it was the most stressful 6 months of our life by far. We didn't have to sell free up. It was very profitable, very cash flow positive. We kind of saw, hey, we grew this to $12 million a year. If we wanted to grow it to 25 or 50, it was going to take some big changes, and maybe we could have made those changes, but like we experienced the Amazon thing where the market changes, and who knows, like we could have run into the ground. So that was
Sure.
definitely on our mind. This was pre-COVID. The economy was at an all-time high, so we didn't know how long that would last either. And yeah, we'd kind of gone through the Amazon experience where we had been an ultimate high and ended up laying off people or starting another business, and we didn't want to go through that again. Throw in like life-changing money and the ability to work on whatever we want for the rest of our lives. There was a lot of factors, but then you get into it, like you said, and there's a lot of back and forth. There's negotiation. The lawyers get involved, which is no one's fault, but for us, it's the biggest moment of our life. For the lawyers, it's another Tuesday. They go on vacation. They got other stuff to do, and our lawyers were great. I have no complaints, but it was like a long, drawn out process that we thought would be 2 to 3 months, ended up being 6 months plus. And I mean, the best advice we ever received was to vet the buyers, just like they were going to vet us, and we couldn't have sold it to better people. People that had the same values of us. They just wanted a fair deal. They wanted to treat our team well, honor their word. They paid us every penny, and we still have a great relationship with them. They're like mentors to us now, and they've helped promote our new businesses. They took care of our team. We took a large percentage of the sale and gave it to our team in the Philippines and took care of them. So it all worked out. At the time, it was nerve wracking because you never know exactly how people are going to react until you sign on the dotted line and get past that. And we didn't want to sell it to people who were going to sue us or spend the next few years arguing with us. We just wanted to make the best decision possible with the information we had and be fair about it. And it all worked out.
Yeah, it is stressful. It's and the back and forth and the constant fear that the deal's going to blow up because of this and the due diligence of lawyers. You know, we were dealing with lawyers that were used to buying companies that were huge. And here, you know, we were a fairly small company at the time. We were, 20 million, 25 million in sales. But, the due diligence list comes through and you're like, we don't even have half this stuff. And you're going off the list and you're trying to check it off saying, we have this, we don't have this, and then the questions come and you're always, it's just a constant stress ball,
Yeah, you really do wake up every day just checking your email. Like, are they going to pull out? Are we finalizing this? Are the lawyers going to bring up something? Is there going to be a hiccup we're going to spend the next weeks on? And meanwhile, the other good advice we got was act like you're not selling the business. Like you got to stay focused on growing and operations and all the things that made you successful up to that point, because there is a real chance they pull out. In our situation, they didn't, but they could have. And you don't want to go back to a business that you've just been ignoring for 3 months because you've just been counting on the sale.
Oh yeah. Yeah. My focus when it happened was I continued to work on the business and trying to grow the business. I was acting like the deal's not going to go through and we still have to run this business. And I was doing that for two reasons. In the back of my head, I was nervous, right? In the back of my head, I was like, so anything, the lawyers start asking a lot of questions and you think they're going to come across something they're not going to like and it's going to blow up the deal. But the other side of me was posturing to say, I want them to know that I don't really care if this deal goes through. It was sort of, I was trying to project that sort of image. Okay, if the deal goes through, it's great, but I'm still going to run this business like it's mine.
And that's such a great point. I mean, that was the position we were in. The business was making money. It was paying us every month, no debt, cash flow positive. We didn't have to sell it. We saw the benefit of selling it, and we weren't trying to overplay our hand. But the truth was, if we didn't sell it, we would have been completely fine. And I mean, there's no better place to be than that. You don't want the opposite thing to happen where your business is going down, your business is plateauing. You need to sell this thing. You're stressed out of your mind. If you don't sell it, you're screwed. Like you gotta, you want to be in the first position for sure.
Yeah, we didn't want to. It wasn't a factor of I didn't want to sell it, but we had taken investor dollars, and so anytime you take investor dollars for growth, I've talked about this on a number of shows. So many young entrepreneurs today think that raising capital is a badge of honor, and what they don't understand is that some of those, it's great to get the money, but sometimes there's strings attached to it where you don't have the control that you think you have. And so, um, But, one of the sticking points when we were selling was I had to go to work for the company for 2 years. That was part of the deal, which I was totally unsure about because I'm not, like I said, I'm not a good employee. You know.
I mean that there's a bunch of things to dissect here. So we started the show by saying how we don't like working for other people. That's why I don't want to get investors ever. Like maybe there's definitely smarter people that disagree with me, and investing's a way to go. And maybe all my businesses would be way bigger if I had investors and all of that. But for me, part of being an entrepreneur is being able to experiment and make your own decisions and everything that, to me, getting investors does not allow you to do. And I also don't want to go to sleep at night knowing that I'm risking other people's money, even if that's what they do for a living. I like to just only risk my own stuff. And the other part of the deal is we were out within, I think our agreement said 90 days, but they had been through this before. So it was really like 30 days. And then we were just available to answer questions. But I don't want a situation where I'm going to work for another company. And you didn't really say whether you ended up working out or not, but I have a buddy who sold this company that was larger than mine, and he had the same agreement, go work with them for 2 years. And I told him, I was like, man, I know you're going to hate this. This is going to be terrible. Like, make sure you know what you're getting into. And sure enough, 6 months later, he negotiated out, and he said that was the worst 6 months of his life. So you just got to be careful with stuff like that. But I've had people that have had different experiences too.
Yeah. Well, I worked out the 2 years, and I looked at it as more of a learning experience because I think that there were some things that they did really well from a marketing perspective and consumer perspective and analytics and things like that. But I swore after that I would only take investor dollars if I absolutely needed it. But we went on and I founded a skincare brand with a woman named Carol Alt, and the beauty of that was we didn't need investor dollars because we wound up with a deal with the shopping channel, with one of the shopping channels. And so we were selling that product on Amazon, our website, on the shopping channels. And so the beauty of that was we'd get a PO 6 months before we needed to fulfill it for the shopping channels. So it gave us the opportunity to handle financing in a different way and grow that business to the point where we sold that one. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of raising capital. And I try and coach most young entrepreneurs to say, look, you think you're going to build this business plan and go out and raise capital, walk out with a check. That's not the way that the world works. Focus your effort on trying to get customers to buy the product that you have today, whether that product is a software or a service or a physical product. Try and get people to buy that product and then start building your business that way.
Yeah. I mean, you've kind of been through it maybe even a little bit more than I have. So I'm not sure I necessarily have anything else to add to that. I mean, it's all stuff that you just got to consider when you're going through the process. And yeah, I don't know. I think we can probably move on to the next topic.
Yeah. So, yeah. So break down sort of what you're doing today with your portfolio of businesses, and who are you really targeting, and how are you growing that business?
Yeah. So my crazy long-term plan with my business partner is we want to build up a media company of Connor, my brand, and use that to promote our different portfolio of businesses. I mean, we like to focus on boring stuff. Like you said, we have Outsource School that teaches people our unique hiring process so that they can plug into their business for VAs or even US employees. We have 2 bookkeeping businesses, AccountsBalance, EcomBalance. One's for e-commerce sellers, one for just online businesses. We just do bookkeeping, charge you on the 1st, books by the 15th, built by entrepreneurs. We focus on good process and easy to read reports that make it very easy. And then we have TrioSEO, our SEO business, and it's all stuff and we just pump out high quality, keyword heavy blog articles every single month. The same thing we do for our businesses. And we like big markets, hiring, bookkeeping, SEO. It's things every business owner needs to do, whether they like it or not. So we'll kind of go down that track, and we've got other ideas there. And we just have a fundamental values of business that we believe in. We believe in treating people well, whether it's our clients, our VAs, our freelancers, our employees, whatever it is. We believe that in making things right, like most of the time our clients are very happy, but if anything goes wrong, we just fix it. No questions asked. We don't care about making a quick buck. We only care about long-term relationships and making money if it's a win for the client. We care about just being positive and avoiding people that are negative or bash other people or treat people poorly. So we do, and this is something we try to just do in all our businesses, and we try to attract other entrepreneurs that want that while also wanting simplicity. They want to take bookkeeping off their plate. They want a better hiring process. They don't want to do SEO anymore. So yeah, that's kind of what we're working on, and we'll see how it all comes together.
How long have you been doing that for?
I mean, since we sold Free Up, we've been like Outsource School was about 2020. We sold Free Up in November 2019. The bookkeeping business we've had for a few years now, and TrioSEO is a few months old. We just launched a few months ago. We're already maxing clients until January. Yeah, and then our personal brands we've slowly been growing, but we're about to go all in on that too. So we'll see how it plays out.
That's fantastic. What are some of the what are some of the things you do to stay motivated in your business every day?
Stay motivated in my business? It's a good question. I don't know. I'm a very self-motivated person. Like whether it's business or working out, I just came back from a 1 hour run. That's why I'm a little red, but I do everything as hard as you can. And that's just kind of the way I operate. I love growing businesses. I love building teams. I love solving problems. I love getting feedback, and it's fun for me. So, I mean, there's other stuff like it allows my wife and I to be foster parents and give back, and all that's great. But even before that, I was always just a self-motivated person. It's not necessarily about the money. It's about just the building. And that's what I love doing.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. It's not necessarily about the money. I was on having another conversation with an entrepreneur last night, I think, and we were talking about how, when you really start to analyze entrepreneurs, it's not always about the money. The money's nice. The money comes when you build something great, but really what motivates people, I think, is the process of building something great. What, yeah. What are some of the things you do outside of work that you're proud of, or that keep you happy?
I play a lot of softball. I'm in some very competitive leagues. We won 2 championships recently, so I'm coming off that. Pretty pumped to end the season to go into the winter. I do the 1 hour HIIT workout or running once a day, so I'm just a big fan of being healthy and all that. My wife gave birth to a son 2 months ago, so taking care of a baby. Thank you, and figuring out everything that goes along with that. So that's been awesome. I live in Colorado, so the outdoors is great. I convinced my whole family to move here. So I live in Denver, but my family is more towards the mountains. So I get the best of both worlds in terms of that. And my wife and I were foodies. We love just trying different food. Denver has a lot to offer, traveling and just exploring food around the world as well. So yeah, I'm very blessed to just have these opportunities.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Great. That's great. Great questions. I mean, great responses. So I like to do this piece where I want you to finish the sentence. So I'll give you a part of the sentence and I just want you to finish it. Right. So if I could go back and do one thing differently in my business, it would be to what?
If I could do one thing differently in my business, I mean, I think there was definitely time after we sold Free Up where we didn't really know what we wanted to do. And I think that's pretty normal after you sell a company. At the same time, as someone who likes being focused and likes being motivated, not having something that you're just truly all in on, what was definitely, I don't even know the right word. It was frustrating at times, but at the big picture, you got to look at how fortunate you are. So it's tough to be frustrated. But I think like everything we're doing now with the boring businesses and building our personal brands, if I could go back in time, I would have started it 3-4 years ago, like right when we sold Free Up. But unfortunately, we didn't have that idea. So, I mean, everything else has worked great. Like the Amazon business, I probably would have sold my own product instead of selling other people's products for years, just because I got in so early, and I probably could have gone that direction if I wanted. And yeah, I mean, outside of that, I mean, you can second guess all day long. My business partner and I, it's a bad activity, but we'll always do that because self-reflection is good, because now it gets you to start thinking about what you should be doing now and what you're going to want to have been doing now in 3 years.
Yeah. Well, that's funny about when I had a razor business and I sold it because it was a very hot market, and that was back in 2015. And you know, I sold it sort of prematurely, but I did sell it. Um, and I didn't know what I was going to do. Like you, I was sitting there thinking, what do we do now? And that's how I started an agency, which I never intended to do. So I do think that self-reflection or reflecting back, because there are opportunities sometimes that I think I well, at least for me, I get sort of focused on my business and I forget to look at what's happening around me that could be opportunities to be in different businesses or to grow other businesses.
Yeah, and we all get that because you get into the weeds of your own business, and it's good to just step back and look at a big picture. And my business partner does a good job of that. He'll say, "Hey, once a month we're having an off Slack day. We're just brainstorming. We're just thinking high level, thinking of the future, and you'll be surprised what you come up with when you're not in the grind of it 24/7."
Yeah, that's a great analogy, and it's good that you have a business partner that you can bounce things off of. I think that's important. We had one of the first shows we did. We had these young guys on that they had, and I knew them. I actually mentored them a little bit, and they had built an app in the beginning. They wanted to that was their focus. They built an app, and it was built on providing. Providing offers and deals from restaurants and bars and stuff on in real time. If you go, and it was working off off of the geolocation. So if you went to a city, if you went to Denver and on business and you came out of your meeting and you wanted to go and grab something, you could look at the app and see what was local that maybe was having great deals that day. The problem with it was that the restaurants and the bars and things are very independently owned, and they don't keep up their inventory, right? They don't sit there and they're not going to put in the deals every day. And so it was sort of failing. And they got together, they went away for a couple of days, and they came back and totally pivoted the business because they had learned about building apps, developing apps, the metrics of apps. And they decided that would be what their business is, and they started a business where that's what they're doing. They basically build apps, manage apps, um, set up the metrics for people, set up dashboards for people who have apps. And it's really, and I don't think they would have gotten there if they didn't take that time to sit there and go back and forth with each other.
Yeah, I mean, brainstorming is always good. You're throwing a lot of ideas. 9 out of 10 are terrible, and you try one of them, and you never know what you're gonna come up with.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. So another one, a surprising thing about entrepreneurship that many people don't realize is, so finish that sentence.
What's going to blow up and when? I mean, we've had situations where someone tried to hack us on the weekend, or someone quit on a Friday, or whatever it is. A big client opportunity comes up on a weekend night, and I mean, coming off the exit, I can be a little bit more selfish with my time and tell people, hey, I only do podcasts at this time. I won't take calls on the weekends. I won't schedule stuff on the weekends. But I mean, until you get to that point, whatever it took, we were doing. If something happened on the weekend, we were working the weekend. With our Amazon business, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, there was a joke in my family. Like, as soon as we would eat a turkey, I would just work for 6 weeks straight and just filling orders. So sometimes you just got to do whatever it takes to succeed. And when you have that success, then you could start setting limits and boundaries and turn down opportunities. But when you're just getting started off, you never really know which opportunity is going to be the best one that really helps you. So you really got to take all of them.
Yeah, yeah, that's really great. And then this last one, when I look back at my entrepreneurial journey, the moment that stands out the most is a pivotal event that shaped my business. What is that?
This influencer, Ben Cummings, Free Up was just starting to take off a little bit. And he had a huge e-commerce community. And he said, hey, I'm going to trust you. We're going to work out a custom affiliate arrangement. And I'm just going to promote you a ton to everyone. I'm going to tell people you're the go-to to hire. But I need to know that you're going to be able to handle all the volume, handle all the sales calls, and treat these people incredibly well. And I gave him my word. He did it. He blasted us, and Free Up blew up for weeks. I was taking 8 to 10 client calls a day. People are putting in requests. And that was a turning point of FreeUp by far. And I talked to every single one of those people from his community. I took care of them. I checked back on them. If there were any issues with their VAs, we fixed them quickly. He got a lot of feedback back and kept promoting us. And then other influencers started to trust us and word started to spread, and it had a snowball effect from there. So that was a pivotal moment for sure.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great story. So, just to go back to your businesses for a second, especially the bookkeeping side of it. So your role is really to get clients, and then you have outsourced people who actually do the work, right?
Yeah, I'm not a bookkeeper. I'm not a
Right.
CPA. I don't. If someone signs up, I never actually look at their books. But we have a team here in Denver. We have a team in the Philippines. It's kind of the best of both worlds because they all have a lot of experience, but it's fair pricing. And yeah, we do monthly bookkeeping. Charge on the first, books by the 15th. Easy to read reports that we work directly with whoever your CPA is. They like our reports too. It's nice and easy. And I mean, it all goes back to with our Amazon business, we had no idea about bookkeeping. I tried doing it myself. That was a disaster. I hired college kids. That was a disaster. I tried dumping it on my CPA at the end of the year. That was a disaster. And then finally, we hired a monthly bookkeeper and got it in order. But when we started FreeUp, I said, okay, we can't go through that again. We're hiring a bookkeeper from day one, even before we've proven the idea, before it's profitable. And that ended up being one of the best decisions we ever made. I mean, not only did we have clean books that we could make decisions on, but when we got to sell FreeUp and went to due diligence, we had 4 years of immaculate books going back to the first day, and that helped us pass. So yeah, everything we build is what we do ourselves, and we preach now: have a good bookkeeper in place. Every business needs it. Never do bookkeeping yourself, and that's our solution to the problem.
So, but everybody's got a different system, right? So everybody's got a different bookkeeping system or system for pulling the data, right? So how do you reconcile that? So in
I
other
mean, not
words,
really.
somebody's using QuickBooks, somebody's got their information pulling out of Shopify, somebody's pulling out of WooCommerce.
Yeah, so we use QuickBooks Online or Zero. Those are the biggest two bookkeeping programs. If you're not using one, you should. The other ones you'll outgrow or you'll run into issues, or you'll use a company they're the only people that use their software, and you'll run into issues later if you want to switch. But yeah, I mean, we use A2X and Link My Books for any e-commerce sellers to pull in data. It's a requirement if they're an e-commerce seller. If they're not an e-commerce seller, we're getting access to their Stripe, their PayPal, whatever it is, connected to QuickBooks. If we need a connecting tool, we will. But I would kind of push back, like sure, every business is different and unique, but in terms of pulling the data, it's either we get access or we need statements each month, and either way, we can do the bookkeeping.
I understand. So you're not opposed to doing it manually if you have to, but the preference,
Yeah.
but for most of the companies that you're using, you just pull the data out raw and put it into QuickBooks.
Yeah, I mean, if you're using some tiny bank that is terrible reports and online banking, we can do it. We'll have to charge more just because it costs us more. But most banks are pretty good these days about giving us access pretty easily.
Yeah. Yeah. That's well, the only reason that came up in my head was we have one client who uses NetSuite, and it just pulling the data out. We don't do bookkeeping, but I know pulling the data out and the way that it's set up is just it's a nightmare for the bookkeepers, and they have two people that just try and fix it. And then the other piece is, right, Amazon today is, I mean, certainly you can link QuickBooks up to Amazon, but my God, some days, you look at Amazon and you think it's just a nightmare. They could make it so much easier with the reporting coming out of Amazon, but they don't, you know.
Right. Yeah, I don't know why Amazon doesn't make bookkeeping easier for sure.
You would think that with the with some of the money that they charge, that they would set up their own bookkeeping service and charge sellers for it. But anyway,
Right.
that would hurt. So yeah, so we're closing in on the end, and so if there's one thing that you would like to get across to entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs starting their business, or they have a business, they're getting ready to scale, what are some of the things you would tell them?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big proponent of just minimum viable product. Get it out there. To kind of go back to what you said about everyone wants funding. That's what kind of bothered me about the Florida entrepreneur community is everyone had the mentality: if I get $500,000, then I'll go out and start this business. Then I'll go sell. And for me, it's create the bare minimum, go out and sell it, get feedback, and if your feedback doesn't justify it, move on to something else. And we've done that with FreeUp. We launched with a very crummy software, the marketplace that did very little. It kept track of freelancers' time, and that's pretty much it. And we proved that we could sell it and we get clients. With Outsource School, we launched it. We didn't know if people would like it or hate it. And if people hated it, we were just going to refund them and move on to something else. With bookkeeping, we gave all these people 2 free months of bookkeeping with the agreement to let us break everything, bear with us, be patient, give us feedback. And if they didn't stick around, we would have come up with a new idea. And even TrioSEO, what we're going through now, 2 months, where we're going to write blog articles in the exact same way that we would do it for our own business. We've already gotten results, but if for some of our clients, but if people hate it, or whatever, we're just going to come up with something else. So that's kind of how I approach business. What is the MVP that you can sell? Prove there's an actual market for it, because a lot of times people think there's a market for it, but there really isn't.
Oh, I agree with that. I think that, that was my point before. You just have to get out there and sell your product to people and get the feedback on whether or not they like it. And that's going to determine what your go forward strategy is. One thing real quick to touch on, because we didn't really touch on it. What's Outsource School?
Yeah, so we have a very unique process for interviewing, onboarding, training, and managing VAs, but also just people in general. And it's our exact process from the interview questions, how we onboard people, how we run meetings, that you can just plug into your business and make A+ hires and keep them around. And then on top of that, you get access to all of our SOPs. So how we hire VAs to get on podcasts or do customer service or sales or whatever it is. So again, you don't have to build your own SOPs. You can just use ours. You can even put your VAs through our training. So that's what Outsource School is. It's a yearly membership, and you get access to all our stuff.
And then it's up to whoever uses Outsource School to do the training. You don't do the training for the VAs. You just provide the data.
Right. We're not training the VAs. We got partners that can provide VAs for you, but you got to know how to vet them and how to build a team. And that's what we teach you how to do.
Yeah, great. That's great. Hey, congratulations on having a baby. It's always a great experience. I've had 5, so I understand
Thank
that
you.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's been awesome.
yeah. So congratulations on that. I'm a really interesting conversation. I like your energy. I like what you're talking about. I love your businesses. I think they're very simple yet effective. I think sometimes people want to build businesses and they're overcomplicated. So, focusing on sort of the boring businesses that everybody needs is fun. Um, you know, so it's good. I like your energy. Yeah, but we're pretty much at the end. So, anything else you want to leave with? If not,
No, connect with me on social media, Nathan Hirsch. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can check out our websites, accountsbalance.com for bookkeeping, outsourceschool.com for hiring, TrioSEO for SEO. And yeah, appreciate you having me on. And if anyone's interested in my content, I'll see you on social media.
yeah, we put all your links in on the description of the show when it goes out there. So all those links will be in there for everybody that they can see. And I think hopefully they'll take advantage of some of your businesses, because everybody needs bookkeeping, everybody needs SEO. So great, enjoyed having you, and hope we speak again.
Same.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Bye.
So interesting. Again, interesting. Everybody needs bookkeeping, and like Nathan said, sometimes it doesn't. In his first business, he wasn't doing it as much as he needed to. In the second business, he learned from that, and that's what sort of motivated him to do some of what he's doing today. SEO, we all need, we all know it, and we're so it's essential businesses. But like he said, they're unsexy, they're boring businesses, but necessary, and all the concepts are necessary. I always like to talk about. I always like to talk to Amazon sellers, though, especially people who were on around the same time that I first got on, because I think it's changed so much, and some of the things that we were doing back then, you can't do today. but it's definitely changed. And you've heard me talk about Amazon a million times. We're still on them. We still have brands on Amazon that we own. And I like Amazon to a certain extent because that's where the customer is, but it can be a frustrating experience. But it's also very, very hard work. And you've heard us say that a million times before. So we're going to leave you with that. Again, go to philmasiello.com, download the free book, the Business Planning Guide. It's a great tool. We have a lot of people that have downloaded it. We've gotten some great feedback on it. And again, you can go to my site, Crunch Growth, and there's a free marketing book to download from there as well. So with that, I'm going to close it out. Thank you. We'll look forward to next week where we've got another great guest on. So keep up with what we're doing, and I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you listening, and hopefully you got something out of it. So have a good night. Enjoy yourself.